Republicans run, they come to Nevada and they say they're going to do something about the deficit. And yet, when we were in charge, we doubled the deficit. Now, President Obama has added a lot more. I mean, he will add more to the debt than all of the previous presidents combined. So the debt is out of control. But the question is, are there Republicans among us who will actually rein in the debt and stop the spending? See, what goes on in Washington, though, is there's a debate. The Democrats say we want to spend it on domestic welfare and domestic programs. The Republicans say, oh no, we want to spend it on the Pentagon. And so you know what usually the compromise is? They spend it on both. We had something, and everybody's been squawking about this. The liberals have been squawking about this, and some conservatives. It's called a sequester. And I'm like, oh my goodness, we can't have the sequester. It's so terrible. Do you know what the sequester is? It's a slowdown in the rate of growth of spending. The baseline of spending isn't this. The baseline of spending goes up about 5% a year. I wish I had that baseline in my income. The baseline goes up 5% every year, so the sequester goes up 4% a year. So you can't, when you see the chart on the news, you almost can't see the sliver between the difference of what we're doing every year and then, you know, what we're trying to do, which is slow down the rate of growth of spending. But everybody's talking about it. We spend more on our defense than the next 14 countries combined. And I am for spending money on defense. It's what the government should do. We should defend our country. But it still shouldn't be an unlimited or blank check. So we had this debate in Washington, and the usual compromise is Republicans get together with Democrats and they just raise the vote. But as a consequence, we get weaker as a country. I tell people, I don't think we can project power from bankruptcy court. Admiral Mullen put it this way. He said the biggest threat to our national security right now is our debt. An $18 trillion debt is as big as our entire economy. Borrowing $1 million a minute, how can we be strong? How can we have the wherewithal to defend our country from such an enormous pit of debt that's dragging us down? And this debate goes on in Washington. But it's a debate we need to have when we decide who's going to be our nominee, who's going to be the leader of the Republican Party and try to help us gain footing again. We also have this debate over whether or not where the money's better spent. I personally grew up as a fan of Reagan. I was there in 1976 when he ran against Ford in Kansas City as a kid. But the thing is Reagan believed in actually reducing tax rates and having tax cuts because he thought the private sector, the productive sector, was a better way of creating jobs than sending your money to Washington. So if I had my druthers, I'd leave millions of dollars in Mesquite. I'd just never take it from you, never send it to Washington. But even that is somewhat of an unusual position in Washington now. What passes for bold in Washington is they say, oh, we're for revenue-neutral tax reform. What does that mean? It means half of you will pay less and half of you will pay more, and it's a wash. What's the benefit? What's the economic benefit? I tell people, look, if that's what we're for, I'm going home. I'd rather be a physician than to be part of something that is not for anything and won't stand up for anything. People say, well, we can't win unless we become more like the Democrats. Balderdash. I think what we need to do is be more boldly for what we are for.